Testing. Testing. 1, 2, testing.
Hey, we already checked this to make sure this all works and good. All right. All right, if I can have everybody's attention, I'll go ahead and call this August 11th Washington County Planning Board, Zoning Board Adjustments special meeting to order. Before I get started, let me just go over a couple of things. There's a number of items that are on this list tonight. May take a while, so I'm going to ask that you be polite, easy with your time. We're going to give you 3 minutes if you're speaking on one of these particular items. If you're speaking for a group, you can have 10 minutes, and we will keep a timer on that. So if there's not any other questions, then we'll take roll call.
Joel Kelsey,
Here.
Philip Humbard. Here. Neil Helm. Here. Jay Piercy. Here. Lisa Miller. Here. Lauren Shackelford.
Here.
Kiera Lures is out of town.
Okay, so she's not there, so that's good. All right, has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes from the last meeting? And if you have, I'll take a motion and a second for approval.
I'll make a motion to approve minutes as stated.
All right, got a motion to approve?
I'll second.
Got a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, is the agenda as presented what we're going with? All right, then I'll take a motion and for approval on the agenda.
So moved.
Got a motion?
Second.
Got a second. All those in favor say aye. 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 Any opposed? All right. Old business. Under county, item A, Rocktown Layover RV Park CUP. This says presented by Nathan Crouch. I'll let everybody know that these that all say Nathan, it will not be Nathan, it'll be Sita. Nathan has resigned. There he is. And he has gone somewhere else, so we wish him the best of luck. So, Sita, take over.
All right. Item A is the Rocktown Layover RV Park Conditional Use Permit request. This proposal is located at the southern edge of the county. And here's the vicinity of where the project's parcel is situated. And there's a close-up. The project's parcel borders Crawford County. There's one existing residence on the property. The applicants are requesting conditional use permit approval to operate a 6-space RV park. The RV spaces will be approximately 25 by 80 feet, each with their own electrical hookups. There will not be water or sewage at this time. Quiet hours will be from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. The applicants state that they will have a 45-day stay limit for visitors, 45 consecutive days. And then they have to leave. The Rocktown Layover RV Park CUP was first presented to the Planning Board at the May 6, 2021 meeting where it was tabled. The current board members at the time voted to table the project until a full board or close to it could be present to vote. Sorry. So here's a closer look at the site plan. The applicants have no plans to pave the development. The RV spaces and the full extent of the driveway will be gravel. The RV spaces will sit approximately 120 feet south of Crawley Road. There is vegetation between the RV spaces and the road to act as an audible and visual buffer. Additionally, a condition of approval will be for the applicant to install a visual barrier around the entire development. The applicant can choose from opaque fencing or vegetation. Notifications were mailed to property owners within 300 feet of the property boundary. All correspondence that staff has received since May have been in opposition of the project. Concerns from increased traffic, disturbance, vandalism, increase of trash and litter, and general incompatibility were notes that staff took. There were concerns about the influx of UTVs and off-road vehicles to the area. The applicant stated that most of their customers would be amongst those with UTVs and other off-road vehicles. So this is looking left on Crawley, and this is looking right. A bug scuffle is in the distance. This is the driveway to the proposed location, and the RV sites would be on the right, kind of following that road. This is an image of the common area. There is a picnic spot, there's a tire swing, there's trailer in the background, that's a permanent residence. If the CUP is granted, this trailer will remain. And this is where the 6 RV spaces will be located. Staff has reviewed the CUP submittal documents and puts forth these following conditions of approval. These conditions have not changed since your last staff report. And as far as I know, they have not changed since the May 6, 2021 meeting. Any questions?
City, you did say that there is going to be no water or sewer?
Yes.
Anybody else got any questions for Cita? All right, is the applicant here? Would they like to speak? Yes. Okay. If you come up, state your name and address, please, for the record.
Rick and Troyce England. We're at 16029 Crawley Road, West Fork, Arkansas.
Okay,
We have proposed to put in 6 campsites and for an RV park. And there was a typo. It's actually a maximum of 10 days that someone can stay. There will be electric provided. There will also, we will have on-site caddies, as they call them. And there's a place that people can take these caddies and dispose of their sewage correctly if they do not have a caddy themselves. And of course, most campers nowadays will hold a good 10 days of sewage, black water.
okay.
That was mainly our,
That was it?
yes, sir.
Okay, well, appreciate that.
Thank you.
Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak to this particular? All right. You'll state your name and address for the record, sir.
Hello, my name is Mark Falden. I represent the Falden Family Trust located at 22139 Buckscuffle Road. We have 263 acres that is bisected by Crawley Road and borders the proposed RV park on the west. My family originally homesteaded this property in the late 1800s. We have the original deed granted from the government under the Homestead Act of 1862. Our property contains numerous home sites, wells, and miles of hand-stacked rock walls that document the history, culture of the early Ozark settlers. Range Hollow and Cove Hollow also begin our property and provide runoff that eventually joins Lee Creek, making our property important not only historically but also ecologically. I prepared the following letter, which I presented to Nita. I don't know if it's in your package here. I'll give it to you. I'm going to read it real quick. The undersigned residents and landowners present this letter for the record to voice our unified opposition to the proposed conditional use permit for Rocktown Layover RV Park. Many of the undersigned are fifth-generation stewards of the land our ancestors homesteaded over 100 years ago. The proposed use is inconsistent with the historical and current use of the land and will cause unrepairable damage not only to our properties but also our way of life. The land owners represent over 1,100 acres in the Buckscuffle Crawley Road area, including all landowners along Crawley Road except for the 30 acres owned by the applicant. The nodes represented on the map account for 97% of the acreage within 2 square miles of the RV park. We asked the Washington County Planning Commission to deny this CUP in order to preserve the history, property, and way of life of the families represented above. I have a map showing the parcels, as well as signed below. I have signatures from the landowners, so I'd be happy to give a copy of this to you. So finally, I'd like to voice some concerns about the applicant's intended use of the property. It is my understanding the Englands own a UTV modification and repair shop. On publicly available social media sites, there is evidence that they sponsor and promote UTV events for their business. Should the Planning Commission and Quorum Court approve this CUP, I think it is reasonable to expect further commercialization of this property outside the scope of the RV park, which would likely include excessive UTV traffic on county roads as well as noise. So, thank you.
All right. Thank you,
Would you
sir.
Have a copy of this?
Yeah, if you want to grab that to either Seat or Julianne. Does anybody else like to speak? If you'll state your name and address, ma'am.
My name is Cassie Julik, and I'm at 22551 Bug Scuffle. My husband and I own property, and then my family, my brothers and mother and I, we own property, so it directly borders almost the entire land of the proposed site. My number one concern is waste and sewage. To have this many sites and no waste station is quite alarming, to have nowhere to put your waste. My husband and I are avid campers. I know that the Englands have talked about caddies. We own a caddy. It will probably fit 3 to 4 days of waste in this caddy. When it's full, it weighs probably close to 200 pounds. You're talking about lifting a caddy into a trailer, a truck, whatever, to take it to a nearest dump site, which I know there's one in Greenland that the Englands have proposed. I don't want to lift it. The way that we use our caddy is once it's full and we're camping in a designated spot, we take the caddy, we hook it to our hitch, and we take it to the dump station. We don't lift it. We don't try to lift it. We don't want to mess with it. It's a nasty job. It's not for the faint of hearts. I know that Englands have guests that are out in Bug Scuffle now. We are the last home before the National Forest, which is where the guests are going when they're on their ATVs. There's about a 4th mile stretch, straight stretch. It's completely level in front of my husband and I, and in front of our property. Our house sits about 100 yards off of Bug Scuffle, so they travel from the England's gathering spot to the National Forest. I have my windows closed. If I can hear your music in your ATV while I'm in my home with my windows shut, your music's too loud. That's happening now. So noise is a huge concern of mine. They race because it's a 1/4 mile straight stretch. They race. I have little children. We have animals. We have all sorts of things that I worry about. And it's not one group of individuals. It's not the younger generation that's out there riding. It's not the younger generation or the older generation. It's everything. There are multiple ages that are racing in front of my home. We're avid ATV owners. We go camping. We do all the outdoor things. But to have this type of behavior in a residential area is super concerning to me. I've grown up in this area. My parents live down the road. We plotted in this place on purpose to have peace and quiet, and we're simply not getting that. The music's too loud. The racing is too much. So those are my two major concerns. What I might mention is that there are multiple areas within the National Forest. It has been done very well to where you can take your camper and go camp, primitive camping. The Englands are offering electricity, but they're not offering anything else to these guests. You can go do that in the National Forest. So by having a proposed campsite area that's bringing traffic into a residential area that needs to stay in the National Forest is super concerning for us and the surrounding property owners. So I hope you take that into consideration, the waste management issues, the noise, and just the hazardous conditions of racing up and down our straight stretch of road. Thank you for your
All right.
time.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? Name and address, please, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Tara Browning, and I'm at 22161 Bug Scuffle Road. I am the closest property owner to the location of the RV park. The only thing that is in between my property line and the RV park is the width of Crawley Road. That's all, because they're putting the RV park on the side that borders Crawley Road. Now, we're in a unique situation because the layout of the land dramatically affects us. The Englands, they sit on one hill. They sit on the south side of their hill, and our property sits on the north side of our hill. What that means is that there's a valley in between our properties. So whatever noise is happening at their location, echoes and it's extremely loud. I mean, we can actually hear their conversations from our house, which is roughly 250 yards right now. Now, we already have an approved septic design system to build a future house, which will be even closer to this location. We've had the septic design done and approved by the Washington County Board. We've already had our water tap installed. We have animals down there. It's just not acceptable to have this type of property in the middle of a bunch of residents. Every property around is a residence. And my number one concern is strangers. I'm 30 years old. My husband and I have intentionally not had any children to this point because we have done everything in our power to ensure that our future children will have a safe environment to grow up. I have encountered many strangers that have done many horrible things to me. I have been sexually assaulted by strangers. About 2 weeks ago, 20 minutes from our house, there was an attempted human trafficking of a young adult woman. I have researched the area before. We searched for property for 3 years. I searched areas on every property that we were ever under contract with to make sure it was a good area. One property we actually backed out of because whenever I did my research, a neighbor was a felon who had attempted to murder the nearby neighbors because of a dispute that happened. He tried to run the children over while they were riding a bicycle. So every time I have searched to make sure I'll be in a safe area, my children will be in a safe area. When I did my research, I learned that I already knew 3 of the neighbors. I knew the Doss family, the Crawley family, and the Jens family. None of them have criminal records. I already personally knew them. They are my adjacent neighbors in addition to the Englands. So I did everything in my power to make sure my future children will have a safe environment. I've lived there for 2.5 years now. It has been a safe environment so far. And if you allow an RV park to happen, you take that power away from me because you don't know the kind of people that will come in. You don't know if they're going to be sex offenders, child molesters, rapists, murderers, serial killers. You don't know. And the nearest police, it would take them roughly 30 to 35 minutes to get to our property.
I'm going to need you to wrap up, Ms. Browning. Your 3 minutes are up.
So strangers are the number one concern to me. Please don't take my ability to protect my future children away from me. Please deny this RV park. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else want to speak on this? All right. Name and address, please.
Stephanie Crawley, 16710 Crawley Road, West Fork, Arkansas. So, like I said, my name is Stephanie Crawley, and that might sound familiar since that's the name of the road where they would like to build this RV park. The road is named after my great-great-great-grandfather who homesteaded our family farm located on this one-lane, very rural dirt road. Since the 1800s, my family and other families of this area farmed, ranched, and raised families here. I'm here asking again that you not approve the CUP because it is not fitting for the area. My first concern is the road and why a traffic study was not done with this request. I believe all CUP requests should have a traffic study. If this study was done, you would have a much better picture of how small, winding, and rough Crawley Road is. The road can barely accommodate one vehicle with a camper, and if 2 met on the road, I am unsure how they would get by each other. Additionally, if the people coming to this RV park were to miss the turn into the park, I'm unsure how they would turn around as the road terminates into the National Forest, where it's so rough you can barely get an off-road vehicle through it. This access is also slated to be gated by the Forest Service. The road, as I said, is very narrow, and a camper could not turn around on it at any point. I would like to see a traffic study done and would like to know if the county is going to commit to improving the miles and miles of narrow dirt road that it takes to get to this proposed RV park. As I'm sure you're aware, most off-road vehicles do not require licensure or inspection, so by nature can be very loud. This RV park is tailored toward folks with side-by-sides. When you're raising animals and children, the last thing you want is loud vehicles tearing up and down your dirt road. The applicants have stated that they will have quiet hours and be respectful of the people that call this area their home. However, they will not be living on site to enforce this. And from various Facebook posts throughout the past year, the applicants have invited people for night rides at the property and big party events. I think this shows the intent for what will truly be happening at this RV park. It takes the sheriff 30 to 60 minutes to get to the area, so calling in issues is usually pointless, as they've moved on before the sheriff arrives. With the increased use of the Buckhorn Trail System by OHV riders, we've seen increased crime already. Our family farmhouse has been broken into and equipment ruined. By allowing this RV park, you're increasing the odds of more people and more crime in this section of the county. So I would ask, is the county equipped and prepared to increase the police presence? Additionally, there is the concern that there will be no septic system on the site. The applicants have proposed that people could use Hog Valley RV Park in Greenland, which is 24 miles away and costs $15 to dump. I doubt many people are going to drive 24 miles to dump their tanks. Additionally, they've stated people can stay up for up to 10 days. I own a camper, and I can tell you that after 3 to 4 days, the tanks need to be dumped. So where will the people be dumping if they stay for 10 days? The applicants have stated that they will have totes for people to dump in. These totes were made to be hauled behind a truck for a very short distance, not towed 24 miles to the nearest dump site. These totes are extremely heavy when filled, so lifting them into the back of a truck is not feasible. I would like to think all the patrons using this park would do the right thing and dump their sewage responsibly, but we've all seen people take the easy way out and dump illegally, which would impact the water quality for the people and animals living in this area. Not to mention, the property is in the Lee Creek watershed, which is protected by the state as an extraordinary waterway. In addition to no traffic study being submitted with the application, there's been no soil study either to show how this will impact the watershed and the wells people use for water in the area. I would plead with the commission to please respect the families that hunt, farm, and raise families in this area and have for generations, and not allow this RV park to happen. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else want to speak? Name and address, please, sir.
My name is Randy Morrison. 16902 Crawley Road is our address.
All right.
We bought this place in order to get away from the rat race, and we wanted a quiet, peaceful place. And things that are happening now will change that dramatically. And we didn't come there in that position to have this happen. So here's the reason we're here. We're trying to not change our way of life, change our little piece of heaven. And besides, I don't like picking up the beer cans along the road. With the property that I have there on Crawley Road there, it borders the Crawleys. Our property runs there beside it. You have to clean up all the debris that they throw out as they pass through on their RVs and things in that nature. The noise is really loud. They'll wake you up at night because they like to ride at night in the summertime when it's hot, and also in the winter, so it doesn't matter. So I'm asking you to put a stop to this. This is for single family homes and farming areas. This is not for commercial use, and that is my request of this committee. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Anyone else? You can have rebuttal. Yes, ma'am. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, ma'am. Name and address.
Teresa Jens, 21957 Bugs Couple Road, Westport. I own the property that's back behind them with my family, have since the 1800s, just like everybody else. I just want to say I have the same concerns that everyone else does. I don't think the road is adequate for RVs. I don't think, from the church, once you get to the dirt road, I don't think it's adequate for one RV to pass another. It's not adequate for a tractor and an RV to pass each other. If you're met in the road, somebody's going to go to the ditch. The county has said numerous times that they are going to work on a solution to the road, but that has not happened yet. We have a water problem with the road, so the road washes out at the bottom of the hill. The people go down too fast down the hill. I have asked the county for speed limit signs, but that hasn't happened yet either. I've asked for a wash-away sign. That hasn't happened. I asked for a traffic study. That hasn't happened. So I've talked to numerous people. I mean, you all know who they are. But we're at the end of the county. We're in a situation where we are at the end of Washington County, and then Crawford County begins. nobody really seems to care what happens to us. We live there for a reason. We've always lived there for a reason. I've never lived anywhere else but there. I don't want to live anywhere else, and I don't want our lifestyles to change. I mean, these families, we all understand exactly what the other farmer or landowner prefers, and we are very respectful of one another. I mean, it has been like this since I was a little kid. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody helps everybody. And I think the RV park will just change that. It will change the way of life. And I think that's been stated several times. But there's so much more to be concerned about. The road and the protection of Washington County Police Department and the runoff into the Lee Creek watershed and everything that everyone else had said. I mean, I can just repeat over and over and over all of our concerns, but we see when the campers leave to go home after the weekend, we see them dumping down the road. I mean, you can follow them out and watch them dump down the road. They say they won't do it, but they do. It's an easy thing to do in the country. There's nobody there to make it different. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, is there anyone else before I give the applicant one more chance to speak? Okay. Ms. England?
Do you need my address and stuff again?
No, we're good.
Okay. I know you guys are hearing a lot of negative on this, and they're making it sound like we're a bunch of vandalism, villains, and gonna destroy the area. And that is not the case. These people that they're talking about that's doing all this bad stuff, the trash and that kind of stuff, that is people going to the national forest already. That is for the public. That's not, we're here to do the RV park, not to bring in more, okay, yes, maybe there are gonna be some more side-by-sides and so forth, but this is also to be for families to be able to get outside and have a safe place to come and enjoy the outdoors that don't get to, that live in town. This gives them a place to come to. And we're also, giving them for the black water tanks, we're giving them something to be able, if they don't have something to use, to take it. But most of our clientele will be weekend clientele is what ours will be. The majority of our clientele. And we do hope that you guys consider for us to be able to put this in, because all this stuff that they're talking about, it's already going on, and we're not even out there with the campground yet. So that's not something that we're causing. So thank you for letting me speak again.
You bet. Thanks.
Can I possibly show a 30-second video that demonstrates the applicant's behavior?
Now, I'm gonna go on with this. I think we've given everybody ample of time. So, anyway, without that, I'm gonna bring it back to the board. I don't know if anybody wants to speak. I'll speak before anybody else wants to, but, I can take a look at where it's at. I can take a look at what I see. I can take a look at what I think the no water, the no sewer bothers me. I do have family that camps a lot. I do understand the whole thing with the caddies and so forth and so on, everything. I just think there's a bunch of concerns here from my standpoint, but I'm not the only one that gets to vote up here.
Mr. Chair, I would concur. I'm a very firm believer in private property rights and people's rights to develop their property and do what they want to with it. My concerns echo yours, in addition to the lack of infrastructure. Probably the roads and that sort of thing are a big concern of mine as well, just because of the size of these trailers and the danger that could cause.
I did wrong. I would be more favorably inclined to approve this RV park if it had a dump station, an approved dump stations in sized, in keeping with the number of users of the dump station. But otherwise, I can't, in my own mind's eye, see how we'd have the right to deny his use of his property as he sees fit. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes, I'd like to speak. I don't know that much about camping. I'm a registered nurse. I have a real problem with sanitation. I'm hearing that we don't have any type of facility on site to handle that sanitation. So I would have to say that I don't think I'd be going for this.
Does anybody else on the board want to speak other than that? I'll entertain a motion one way or the other.
And for clarification, Chair, our recommendation to quorum court, correct? So
Yes.
approved or denied, the final decision will go to the court. Is that
Yep.
correct? Okay, thank you.
As I said, Mr. Chairman, I would move that we approve the RV park with the addition of an EPA-approved dump station.
Okay, there is a motion on the floor.
I'll second that motion with the correction to the 10 days, 10 consecutive days. Instead of 45, it says 45 in the staff recommendations.
Okay, the motion before us is the condition to the approved EPA standard dump station and to set the days at a 10-day max. Let's do roll call.
Joel Kelsey,
No.
Philip Humbard,
No.
Neil Helm,
Yes.
Jay Piercy,
Yes.
Lisa Miller. No. Lauren Shackelford,
No.
Okay, motion is denied 4-2. There is an appeal process. If you'll be more than happy to get with the county, they'll lead you through that process if you so inclined want to go that route. So, other than that, we'll move on to new business. First item up under conditional use permit is in the Tawny Town planning area. Item B, ER Mobile Services CUP presented by CETA.
Item B, the ER Mobile Services CUP. This proposal is located within the northwestern part of the county, just outside of the city of Tawnytown. The project site is located off of Harmon Road. And here's a close-up of the site location. The applicant is requesting conditional use permit approval to allow the operation of a mechanic shop that specializes in semi-trucks and dump trucks. The parcel is approximately 2.5 acres in size, but the applicant state they will utilize no more than 1 acre for their proposed shop. Along the back portion of the property between the existing building and the property boundary, the applicant intends to have parking for approximately 10 vehicles. There will be 2 employees which will work Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Saturday hours will be from 8:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. The proposed shop is located along the western side of Harmon Road near the intersection of Arbor Acres. This is the shared access road from Harmon Road. The proposed site is on the left side of the screen, and that's Nathan's finger in the way. A pull-through workshop building already exists on the property. This will be utilized for the mechanic shop should the CUP be approved. The applicant states that the building is insulated, so noise should be dampened. There is no existing residential building on this property. This is the site distance looking along Harmon Road, looking north. This is south. The black circle represents a 1-mile buffer around the subject parcel, which is outlined in red in the center of your screen. Areas depicted in green are the standard county zoning of agricultural single-family residential uses of 1 unit per acre. The area along the right side of the screen in the hash/gray is the city. The blue represents existing conditional use permits. The subject parcel, again, is outlined in red. Directly to the north on the adjacent parcel is a CUP. The CUP was granted in 2014. The project name was Block Auction CUP. The applicant for Block Auction CUP was Mr. Paul Coven Jr. He owned the property up until 2018, and then Cindy and Kelly Boger purchased it from him, and they are the current owners of the property. Though the property does not seem to be used for an auction site, a use of nearby businesses show that something called Triple B Fabrication is addressed at this location. So within the 1-mile buffer is the waste management landfill, along the right side of the screen. Due to the landfill facility, there is heavy truck traffic in this area, especially along Harmon Road. The proposed mechanic shop is estimated to bring an additional 5 to 10 vehicles a day. Staff feels that this increase should not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of the area, nor should 5 to 10 vehicles cause the flow of traffic to slow. Along the southern part of the property is a row of screening trees, shown there on your screen with the blue arrow. And there's another row along the western border, and there's the south and the western border and the vegetation in the background. Being that parking will be behind the existing building, staff does not think additional screening along the western and southern border will be necessary. Screening should also not be necessary along the eastern portion of the property. Notifications were sent to property owners within 300 feet. Staff has received 2 official complaints via email, both of these for an opposition of the project. However, there has been a petition of approximately 76 signatures on it, which represent 76 individuals that oppose the project. And there have been multiple phone calls voicing concern and opposition of the project. There is also a copy of the petition in front of you. Staff was not sure if you had received that last time, but so just in case. Staff has reviewed the CUP submittal documents and puts forth the following conditions of approval. Any questions?
Yeah, I've got a few.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it was an original CUP for Mr. Coven.
Yes.
Once he sells that and the new owners get that CUP goes away, right? It doesn't transfer.
It transfers because it's for the land, not the property owner. It's for the use.
Okay, so if the CUP is for the auction house
Yes.
and there's a fabrication place being operated there, then
Yes.
the CUP is not being used, correct?
That's correct.
So is there a need for a business license for the Triple P?
They would have to apply for a CUP if they are not using it for an auction facility. So currently, they are out of compliance.
Okay. And on the new piece, you stated that there would be room for 10 parking spaces?
Yes, that is what the applicant has stated.
Okay. Last question.
Mm-hmm.
Fabrication place, even in the county, does it have a business license for that place?
Not a business license, but they do need a conditional use permit because the use has changed. It is no longer approved for an auction.
Do we know how long the fabrication place has been in business?
We do not. But they have owned it since 2018, so it's possible to say it's been
It's possible it's been in use 3 years without coming back and asking for CUP?
Yes.
Okay. All right, that's all I had. Anybody else? All right, is the applicant here and would they like to speak? you'll state your name and addresses for the record, please.
Adrian Dominguez and Ellie Rivera, property owner of 18749 Harmon Road in Fayetteville. Excuse me. We propose occupying an existing building that had a permit to build. The adjacent property had a CUP, and the ER Mobile Services, as the business states, is a mobile service to supply and work on trucks on the road that break down. These trucks that will be coming to the facility are those that need additional work. The property, which we have designated, is less than the acre. The parking area is for those trucks that are coming to be worked on. The 5 to 10 vehicles per day is actually what we have been seeing is lessened. It's taking about 2 to 4 days for a truck to be repaired. And because of the 3,000 square foot building that's there, less traffic is actually coming in through the property. The traffic that is coming is the 2 employees that are present there, and the individuals that come and pick up their trucks once they're repaired. The trucks themselves are put inside. As it was stated, the building is insulated. The air compressor that is utilized sometimes, not all the time, because air is not actually needed in repairing diesel trucks that much, only to when it's jacked up, is condensed in that building. And the air noise of the compressor is very, very minimal. The traffic that is going through there, that is the dump trucks and the trucks that are arriving, is very, very minimal throughout the day. Sometimes none, actually, because the trucks are inside the building being repaired. They only come in to get fixed or drive out once they're fixed. As you know, a conditional permit was granted to the property next to us. That's why we were going through the same steps to get a permit for ourselves. We have abided by all Washington County departments. Everything that have been requested from us, we have submitted. Everything that has been requested on our part, except the water, because we can't get the water without the permit. So once we get that, we'll get everything else working. But we have no problem. We changed the work hours. Originally, it was 6 to 6. We changed it to 8:30 to 6, and on Saturday from 8:30 to 2 to accommodate our neighbors. We're also looking at different ways to decrease the visibility between the trees that are already existing by planting other trees. So that barrier will be there. Anything else?
No, that's good.
Thank
Is
you.
that it? All right, thank you. All right, before I start on the second one, let me just say, I have a whole list of people here that are against this. I'm gonna ask again to let you know. 3-minute time limit if you're speaking for yourself. Try not to repeat everybody's thing. I mean, at some point, we're gonna get it. And if you're speaking for a group, you're allotted 10 minutes. So if you're speaking for a group when you get up here, be honest and let me know you're speaking for a group. Other than that, 3 minutes and we'll go. So if there's anybody that wants to speak on this particular issue, come forward.
Evening, folks. And I am speaking on behalf of the group, and I'll let you know that some of them are here, but all 76 aren't going to bother you tonight. So,
All right, if I
wanna
can get your
make
name
sure-
and address.
Yeah, my name's Jake Newcomb. I'm an attorney here in Fayetteville. I represent David and Mary Sparks, who are sitting here behind me, and they are landowners. If y'all don't mind, got a small presentation I've put together because images work better than words half the time. So, can you help me with that, Sita? I don't think so.
We can flip this around.
Let me see.
I'll just disconnect this for a moment.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was fixing. Hey, Cedar, while you're doing that, the applicant is not the same as the landowner, correct?
The gentleman who spoke, I don't believe, is the applicant or the landowner.
Sorry about that. I said Cedar, not. Yeah. We'll stop that right quick. We'll clarify
There's
that
not a-
before
there's
we're
not-
done, Cedar.
What's that one for, the speaker?
No, that's to power that.
Okay.
So can we pull yours onto like the desktop?
Oh, yeah, that'll work, actually.
Well, and we've been operating.
Sorry about this, guys. Stick it on the. Do you all have a copy of the petition that she mentioned? I brought extra copies in case. I'd like that to.
Is it this one?
Correct. All right, that'll work. Yeah. All right, guys, sorry about that. So my name is Jake Newcomb. I'm an attorney here in Fayetteville, represent David and Mary Sparks, and by proxy, numerous other of the neighbors that are in this area. They are here today because they'd like to speak to you much in the same way that many of the other folks have today. They have retained me to kind of advise them on their legal rights and what necessarily technical has to happen for a conditional use permit such as this to go through. And so, sure. And so today, what I intend to do is speak to you all and really go through some of these criteria, which I'm sure you're familiar with. And it's not my job to remind you guys how to do that, and I'm sure you're familiar with this, but as you know, this section 11200 is from the planning code, and these are the specific criteria which a conditional use permit needs to meet in order for you guys to approve it. As this is written and as I understand it, an applicant needs to successfully prove that each of these criterions are met. And by way of example, I would say, of course, that if a written application has not been filed and the fee hasn't been paid, then you guys obviously would not approve the permit, and it would go back, it would be batted down. Today, realistically, I believe that a majority of these are not met by this application. Namely is number 4, the fact that the proposed use is compatible with the surrounding area. You heard a little bit from CETA about a waste management facility that is nearby, an illegal non-conforming use which is operating directly north of the applicant's proposed development, which in fact the applicant's original application intends to somewhat piggyback off of and basically say that since this use is here, which is a trailer fabrication facility, which I can assure you that nobody behind me is happy about, that we should be allowed to do the same thing. And in fact, and as you heard from CETA, the last conditional use permit that was issued was for an auction house. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more as we get to it, because I think the staff report and the planning board's reasoning behind allowing that auction house is important for your decision today. But one of the things I really want to harp on is the fact that this is a surrounding area of this proposed development. This isn't a corner lot. It's not backed up against fields. It's not surrounded by industrial farming. It's not next to a waste management lot. It is entirely surrounded by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 houses that you can see in this photo. If you want to zoom this out, you'll see that subdivisions are located entirely around this area. And for that reason, I think it's entirely untrue to even believe to think that this use is compatible with the surrounding area. This is a residential area. People lived here. People have investment-backed expectations that they purchase these homes, believing that they would be in a nice, quiet, agricultural residential area, which is the current zoning. Number 6 is also very important, I think, to your decision today, that the conditional use will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the surrounding area. You know, it's very clear that this is a diesel mechanic shop. These folks are going to be running heavy equipment, machinery, and I know that they've updated their hours, but that doesn't necessarily change the fact that they're going to be in folks' backyards. This is quite literally Mr. Sparks' back porch where he gets up to have his morning coffee, and and you'll see right there the dump trucks and the proposed mechanic shop. And so I believe it fails. Part 1 of number 6 is certainly injurious to the use and enjoyment of my client's property and numerous of the other folks that you're going to hear from today. Number 6 is a 2-part criterion. Second part being that it would not substantially diminish or impair the property values within the surrounding area. And I really think it's without argument to think that a residential area that has a diesel mechanic shop come into their backyard is going to have their property values diminished. And so because of those reasons, I think that it certainly fails these criteria. And it's not that it has to only pass one of them or a majority of them. If it doesn't pass, if it doesn't meet at least one of these, then I don't think the board can approve it. Further, if we look at the application that was originally submitted for this conditional use permit, and this goes back to the existing conditional use permit. You can see that on numbers 10 and 15, that the application is entirely based off of the fact that, well, number 10 states that the surrounding uses are agricultural and business and trailer manufacturing. And if you look at the slide that I showed earlier, it's very clearly that there is one existing use that's non-residential in this area, and that use is operating illegally. And I don't think that this board should take into consideration that use whatsoever when it makes its decision. Instead, it should look at the existing uses and the residents that live in this area and have been living in this area. And again, number 15 states that it'll be compatible with the neighboring business. And these inconsistencies follow into the staff report. Here we have, I think, Mr. Crouch's staff report where he compares and has his staff comments with the same criterion. And many of these don't take into account the surrounding uses, which we're required to do. Particularly number 4 states that although the proposed use is not agricultural or residential, the character of the building fits into its context, and it shouldn't negatively impact the neighborhood. And frankly, the character of the building is not part of this calculus. It has to do whether or not the use, what will be going on at this proposed development, it does fit in with the characteristics of the surrounding uses, which, as we showed, are entirely residential. This isn't a commercial area. The fact that there is one non-conforming illegal use in the area should not be a part of our consideration. Number six states that the staff comment states that the surrounding use is mostly single-family residential, which is true. But then it states that there is industrial farming within the nearby area as well. But as I showed you earlier, the nearby area is not industrial farming. It's not industrial in any sense of the word. It is absolutely residential homes, like this here. In going towards back to the conditional use permit that was issued to the auction house in 2014, I think it's important and relevant for our consideration today to look at what some of the staff comments were when they were considering whether or not to allow this conditional use in a residential neighborhood. I think it's without argument that we can all agree that an auction house is a much less invasive use than a diesel mechanic shop. And if we take a look at this, down at the bottom, we can see that planning staff feels that since the land use of an auction house to operate only 20 times a year, that was a condition placed on the auction house. For it to be able to go through and be compatible with the surrounding land uses, the conditions were that it operate only 20 times a year, and further, very limited hours of operation, and no loose material stored within a trailer outside of the surrounding properties. And so we can see what's going on up here with the property directly north of this proposed development, the kind of clutter and eyesores that are already developed, that are already on that property. And I think it's no short sight to believe that at a diesel mechanic repair shop, we're going to see more of this type of stuff being around the property. These can't stay inside the shop. They'll have to be somewhere, and it's just inevitable that this will happen. And again, we're looking at, this is just one of the views from the neighbors of the 10 plus homes that I show you, that their backyard directly fronts this property. As you can see, those trees aren't going to do anything to block any sight, block any sound, or otherwise stop what will certainly be an eyesore. So lastly, I'd really like you guys to just, I know y'all are community members, that's the reason y'all are up here. I'd like you to put yourself in these folks' shoes and think about if a diesel mechanic shop was coming into your backyard, into your home, which is, I don't know if y'all are like me, but my home is the largest investment that I've ever made, probably that I will make in my lifetime. And it's something that I certainly don't want my property values to be diminished by a mechanic shop. And if it was going in my backyard, I would do everything I could to fight it. And I believe that this doesn't meet the criterion allowed to go through. And so before I go, I'm going to leave you with some of the noises that are indicative, I believe, of a diesel mechanic shop. And then I'll let some of these folks talk. What do you think, Sita?
Try it again.
Might not leave you with any noise.
No, sorry, it's at 100.
You'll have to imagine the noises. Appreciate everybody's time.
Thank you, Mr. Newcomb. Okay, again, before I let everybody come up, I think Mr. Newcomb did a very good job of expressing the feelings there. So just be considerate of your time when you come up. So if anybody would like to speak on this particular project, then please come forward, state your name and address.
I'm David Sparks, and my address is 18581 Harmon Road. Our property adjoins that of the proposed ER Services truck shop just across our backyard fence. Thank you for giving me the time to express our concerns about this permit application. My family moved to Springdale in 1989 and started a small mechanic shop. The business prospered, and after 10 years of spending too much time at work, we decided to sell our house in town and move out to the country for some peace and quiet after work hours. We were comfortable making the investment because Washington County had zoning, and the subdivision we chose, McCamey Meadows, appeared to have strong covenants. We thought that the land in an area almost exclusively classified as residential agricultural would protect us from commercial encroachment. After 30-plus years in Springdale, we were approached by a larger company wishing to buy our business. We decided to sell and retire to our country home. For this entire 30 years, our mechanic shop business was located in a properly zoned commercial district in the city of Springdale. We were dismayed recently to learn that a company had applied for a conditional use permit to start a business doing similar work as ours, basically in our backyard. Our dreams of enjoying retirement in a tranquil county setting will be ruined, and our property value will suffer if this is allowed. Please vote to deny this application. Thank you.
My name is Renee Oschlager, and we live at 18710 Strawberry Plant Road, which happens to be 18 feet outside the 300 feet notification area. So if not for the neighbors who were closer, we would not have known that this proposed CUP was coming in. I live at 18710 Strawberry Plant Road. Mostly I work from home as well. I can tell you that in the daylight hours, if I look out my back window where my husband has graciously planted a bunch of trees on our property, on the property line, and he plans to plant more, I can see the machine shop, diesel, the ER mobile service location. The back garage door is open. The side garage door is open. It may be insulated, but when the doors are open all day long, there is plenty of noise that gets through that area. I could say a few other things, but I'll leave it at that. I ask you not to approve, under any circumstances, this conditional use permit. Thank you.
I'm Tommy Baker. I live at 18601 Harmon Road, just 2 doors south of this. That's why we built out there, is quiet. And this is just not acceptable. I mean, the noise. Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, we built out there because we wanted it quiet. And the traffic and all this is is getting terrible. The roads, it's even affecting the roads like it does everywhere else. But with all the dump trucks and the card trucks and stuff, this is what's in my yard constantly, even. And that, you know, I'd much rather not have it there. Appreciate it. Thanks.
I'm Dennis Olschlager, 18710 Strawberry Plant. And it took us about 30-some years to finally get out in the country and for some peace and quiet. We looked for property for many years, and now we find that it's getting more and more like the Wild West out there with all the trucks and trailers and that kind of thing. So. And I would just say I've been around for 73 years, and I've not seen a lot of truck service and auto places that have their doors closed during the day. So I don't think that insulation is going to do a lot of good. Thank you.
My name is Nancy Hayes. I live at 18687 Harmon Road. My property is directly south of this proposed property. I don't like it. I think it's too noisy. I'm not going to try to repeat everything. I just wanted to get up here and state that we are right next to this property. And we have a grandbaby out in the yard a lot. This is not going to be something that's going to be very family friendly. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
If I could get permission to play the two videos that would not work on your system there, just the audio portion of that. If I could just
You know,
set it up.
I mean, we can play them. I mean, I think we got the gist of what he was trying to put across, but I mean, it's board. Do you care to see them? All right, then come forward and let's see them. Does anybody else want to speak while he's getting ready? All right.
Yeah, technology strikes again. I don't have the dongle here, but I'll try it just with the phone.
Mr. Sparks, I think we're going to have to go ahead and proceed. I appreciate you trying to make an effort to it. I think we've all probably lived on this earth long enough to know what it sounds like in a mechanic shop or so forth.
Backup alarms and area impactors.
I got you, sir. So, all right, is there anybody else that would like to speak on this? All right, I'll let you have rebuttal, sir.
Two things. Pictures were shown of changing tires. We're not a tire shop. We're a mechanical industry. Number two, 100 yards north and 100 yards east is a grandfathered 32-year machine shop tractor and trailer. He's been there for 32 years already. So there's an existing facility there that is on Arbor Acre, 200 yards away. They failed to show that picture, the northern part of the picture, where that business is. We're here to abide by all regulations, which we have, and due to that other facility being there, that was the reason that we put what we did in our permit. For existing 32-year grandfathered in tractor trailer repair shop 200 yards away from us. So the traffic is there, the noises that they're considering is there, but we are not a tire shop. So the time that the air compressor is on is very minimal. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, I've got a couple of questions. I need some clarification. This picture that, if you go back to the very first one, see that on the public web map with ERC Mobile Services that shows both pieces of property here with the green outline telling us the proposed septic tanks, the trailer parking, so forth and so on. The small building to the south is the one asking for the CUP
Oh, this one.
on the mechanic shop, correct?
Yes, the small one.
Okay, so if I'm going 200 yards to the north, does that not take it into the building to the north there that had the CUP for the auction house?
Oops. Yes.
Okay? And that auction house hasn't been there 32 years. And I know a lot about that road, and I don't believe I know what he's talking about. Because it's over in here. Okay. All right, besides that, are these separated properties, or this whole property is owned by the same property owner?
They are separated properties. They each have different property owners.
The CUP that was granted included both properties
It included just the one property.
where the auction house is?
Yes,
Which is not an auction house,
correct.
which if I'm looking at this, looking at papers, it's a fabrication shop and a junkyard,
Yes.
basically. And it's out of
Compliance.
conforming.
Correct.
You know, I can remember when that auction house was built and they put that in. And that was a very nice piece of property. And that auction house and what was there looked very, very nice. I wouldn't have had a problem that being in my backyard. But with what's here, what I see growing with that, I don't know. Is anybody on the board got anything they want to add or say?
I'd like to know how long this particular building has been there, and how long the applicant has been operating in there.
That building, I want to say 2008, possibly.
The smaller building?
The smaller building, that I don't know. How long the smaller building
Is
has
that what
been
you're
there.
asking?
Yes, 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 the one he's operating out of. And
That I don't know.
how long has he been operating there?
I'm not sure how long he's been there.
Can't we know that?
Mr. Rodriguez, how long have you been operating in that building?
2 months. We purchased the building two months ago.
They purchased it 2 months ago, and they've been operating 2 months ago.
Okay. One thing I would like to see done is the CUP auction house that got done that is no longer in conforming. I would like to whatever we need to do as the county to address that, toward that they have to come before us asking for the CUP that they're trying to operate under that is not what they're operating as. Okay.
Also, I'd like to know what the covenants are and how they preclude this type of operation.
The covenants are only for the subdivision. These 2 parcels that you see before you are not within the subdivision, so they are not
Okay.
covered under the covenants.
So there are no covenants.
There are no covenants for these 2 parcels.
Okay, thank you.
Do we know what the use of that building's been prior to this applicant's purchase of it 3 months ago?
I do not know.
Thank you.
Okay, then one last question. Sorry, I'm almost done with this. The building that is there, that they're operating in, or they've owned for 2 months, was that part of the North Properties property under the CUP before they sold that half of the property?
I don't think so. And even if it was, the CUP would not be transferred over.
Okay, all right. Anybody else got any questions for anyone?
On the pictures that you were showing up on the screen, Attorney Newcomb, you showed one that had some trucks behind a barn. It looked like just a bunch of stuff stored there. Was that actual picture of this property? Was it retouched in any way? How long ago was that?
They were provided to me, so I'll answer on behalf of them.
The picture of the 2 junk cars and a FedEx truck is items that were brought in probably inside this 2 or 3 month period he's talking about.
So it's recent with the current owner? Okay. Thank you.
Which lot are those on? Yours?
Here, I tell you what, we're gonna need to come to the microphone if we're gonna ask questions and everybody's gonna answer. That way, we make sure we get it on record. I think what he's asking, Mr. Rodriguez, is the picture that Ms. Miller is referring to that has the FedEx truck in that they're saying are located on your property now.
There's 2 pictures. One picture is the adjacent property. It's not on our property line. And the FedEx is a truck that is going to be worked on, is on our property line. But there's 2 different pictures of tractors and other stuff that is not on our property.
Okay. Does that answer everybody's
The
question?
specific picture I was talking about was the one with the FedEx truck.
Okay.
That FedEx truck is going to be worked on, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
So, Chair, back to your question on the picture that had the 2 properties with the existing building, the proposed septic tank, that sort of thing. It shows some trailers, trucks, both, what I assume would be to the west of where the proposed parking is. Are that's part of the north property, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So the north property basically L-shapes around this proposed property.
I think that is a separate parcel owned by Mr. Volker, the same owner of the fabrication shop, but a separate parcel.
Okay. But not owned by the applicant, not part of this applicant. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I was looking for that map. Yeah.
The FedEx truck has sat there for months at this point. Doesn't quite go along with in and out in 2 or 3 days deal.
Yeah, that property is owned by the Bogers as well, that own the fabrication shop. per this map right here, if this is up to date, correct? Okay. Anybody else on the board got any questions? Then I'll put it to y'all for a motion one way or the other.
I'll make a statement. I'm not really ready to make a motion yet, but my feel is we've got a bad neighbor existing now, a non-conforming use now that's creating the majority of these headaches for the adjoining property owners. I'm not so sure the application or the applicant has stated with 5 to 10 trucks, short term would be as detrimental as what they're dealing with now. So that makes it a little difficult for me to deal with the decision process with the non-conforming use just to the north and the majority of this clutter, if you will, that shows on this picture being representative of a neighbor and not the applicant.
Anyone else? All right, I'll entertain a motion one way or the other.
Mr. Chairman, the non-conforming use of the existing facility kind of makes this more of an island of not a rezoning, but a approval. And if it was just by itself, I think we would be looking at it differently if the trailer shop was not there. So based on that, I'm going to make a motion to deny this application.
All right, I've got a motion for denial on the ER Mobile Services CUP.
I'll second that motion.
I've got a motion and a second for denial. Let's do roll call again. And to clarify, if you vote yes, you're voting for denial. If you vote no, you're voting that it gets spurred. So,
Joe Kelsey,
yes.
Philip Humbard,
Yes.
Neil Helm, Jay Piercy,
Yes.
Lisa Miller,
Yes.
Lauren Shackelford,
No.
The motion fails 4-2, so the CUP is denied. Again, you can check with the planning department. There is an appeal process that you can go through on that. So with that, we'll move on to land development hearings in the county. Item C, replats of lots 1 through 14, Summers Original. See it again.
All right, item C. Oop, I'll give it just a quick moment.
Yeah, we'll take a minute.
All right, so this is the replat of lots 1 through 14 in the Summers Original Subdivision request. It's located in Summers, which is on the western side of the county. And here is the Summers Original Subdivision plat. Looks like it might be from the 1918 plat book. So this is what it looked like originally. That is just the intent. So we're looking specifically at Block 13, lots 1 through 14, Block 13. This has somehow become one parcel. And I think what we wanted to note in this particular slide is between a lot of these blocks again have just become a homestead. There's platted alleys and streets, which were never really developed. Here's kind of what it looks like with the overlaid over the aerial. So in green is the platted right-of-way. The applicant would like to vacate this right-of-way and have the acreage be returned back to the subject parcel. So kind of before, and then that's the area that, that's the proposed right-of-way area. Here's a survey, basically, of Block 13, lots 1 through 14. And in it, they basically says, it's denoting that it's currently at 2.6 acres, and then if the replat is approved, this will increase the acreage from 2.6 acres to 3.3 acres. And just more images. So that's what it would look like when we add almost an entire acre. So again, before and after. And this is the 30-foot right-of-way that's in between the two I guess, blocks, or sides, not blocks, I apologize. This is in the middle of the block. As you can see, it's green space. It's never been developed. The applicant takes care of it like it was his own. Notifications were sent to property owners within 300 feet. Staff has not received any comments in favor or opposition of this proposal. Staff recommends approval with the following conditions, and these conditions have not changed since the time of your staff report. Any questions?
So basically what they're doing, CETA, is taking in the alley and the street?
Yes.
That's in, okay.
Yes.
And the right away for the railroad.
Right, right away for the railroad, okay.
I have a question also.
Mm-hmm.
This is public property.
The right-of-way?
Yes, ma'am.
It is. So there will be additional follow-ups to this project.
I'm not sure that this meets your, have you bounced this off of the assessor's office?
This was handed to me on Monday, so I have not had the opportunity to really delve into it.
You need to talk to the assessor's office because I don't think we can do this.
Okay.
I tell you what, let's just do this. Let's just make this simple, since CETA just got it handed to her Monday. Neil's got some questions and everything. Then I think that's one of those that, will it take a table motion, CETA? Okay, then I'll entertain a motion.
I'll motion that we table this
All right,
issue.
got a motion to table?
Second.
And a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, there you go.
Great. Thank you.
All right, next item, county. Item D, Friendship Church Minor Subdivision. CETA's up again, getting all the work.
I know, getting my steps in. So this is Friendship Church Minor Subdivision, and just to give the board a heads up, there is a 1 and a 2, so this is 1, just to clarify. This is located within the southern portion of the county, just west of West Fork and south of Fayetteville. The subject parcel is approximately 29.34 acres in size. And it is situated along a private road known as Friendship Church Road, Washington County, 4247. The applicant intends to take the 29.34 acre parcel and split it into 4 tracts. The tracts range from 3 acres to 10.17 acres in size. And the color is there just so you can see what the tracts are. Proposed tracts B and C have frontage along Friendship Church Road. Track D will be accessible from a proposed 40-foot wide shared easement shown here. And here is an actual image of the proposed easement. Track 3 will utilize a 30-foot wide easement along its northwestern corner. And here's an image of the proposed access and utility easement. The proposed minor sub is still very undeveloped, aside from the proposed easement cutouts. The minor sub is on the left side of this image here. And it would be on the right side of this screen here. Staff sent notifications to surrounding property owners within 300 feet. Staff received one phone call inquiring about the county, if the county road departments would adopt Friendship Church Road. Staff referred the caller to the county road department. Staff has not received further comments in favor or opposition of the project at this time. Staff recommends approval of, with the following conditions, and these conditions have not changed since the time of your staff report. Any questions?
See to the 40-foot easement on the north, I guess it'd be
Yes.
northwest corner of, that's the 30-foot easement, the one up
There we
at that
go.
one.
Mm-hmm.
What is that accessing exactly?
It's, let me go back one. Basically, there's already a cutout there, so Tract B will utilize that as their access.
Just track B.
Tract B, yes, on this,
And part of the easement's not on their property?
yes, the other part is on Friendship Church Minor Sub number 2, which
Okay.
is next.
Anyone else? All right. Applicant here want to speak?
My name is Tim West with Atlas Land Surveying. First of all, I want to apologize for the randomness of the track numbers and lettering. I've got track B, C, and D and track 3 there. What has happened is with the client, as we were running through some drafts, he, without my knowledge, had written pending contracts off of these track numbers and letters that we had on drafts. So as I submit the project, I was unable to change those letters or numbers. As far as the easement there on track B, that 40-foot shared, the next project up is the Friendship Minor Subdivision 2, which will be the parcel north of track B. So that adjoining track there will be shared. That will be a shared easement between the two tracks there.
Okay.
And if you've got any other additional questions, I'll be glad to answer them to the best of my knowledge.
How many tracks are being serviced by that 30-foot easement?
So we have the 40-foot, the short 40-foot shared easement will only be serviced by 2 tracks. The 30-foot on the north is only servicing 1 tract. The 30-foot on the far south is only servicing 1 tract as well.
The 40-foot servicing how many tracks?
The 40-foot is servicing 2, but it would be a shared type easement.
Do the 230s come off, I can't tell that, can the 230s do they come off of the 40?
No, sir. So tract 3, which would be the far northeast tract there, the 10-acre tract. I'll give you a minute so you can get that pulled up.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I
So
see,
that
I see
track-
what you're saying now.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that's on phase 2, right?
It will be on this phase as well as the other. It's shown on both. Now, the 40-foot shared easement, both of those tracks have road frontage. It just made more sense to have one driveway there, you know, with I believe he's gonna install a 60-foot culvert there instead of 2 driveways within 100 feet of one another. So really, the 40-foot easement for track B and the track north of that, which is gonna be on the minor subdivision 2, isn't really necessary, because they both have access. We're just gonna have 1 driveway for each tract.
Okay.
Any questions else?
Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak to this? Just state your name and address, ma'am, please.
My name is Erin Boyger. I live at 15048 Friendship Church Road. We're a small community of permanent residents on a private road that we all pay for personally and personally work to maintain with our own equipment. There's already been additional traffic and wear on the road that has had to be repaired personally by the residents, not by the applicant of the project. These properties drain into the Lee Creek watershed. And on the topic of water, our community has been told for years that no additional water taps were available on our road. These original properties had 2 water taps. One is currently being used by a home on the property. The second is an unused water tap. An additional 2 water taps have been approved by the Washington Water Authority for a total of 3 available water taps. And that's for the 7 proposed lots that are for this project of 2021-189 and 2021-190. So we do have a question about water for the road and are concerned about overutilization of the water lines and that have, we've been told in the past have already been tapped out and that no changes have been made to our water service lines to provide this additional water to these lots. These properties are already being developed with driveways and forest clearing ahead of the board's decision, showing clear disregard for the respect of the residents and the members of this board. The pictures that you were shown, yes, those are clearings, but what you haven't been shown is the additional lots and the additional clearings that have been made. There have also been a number of unattended fires, burning of trees, especially during high wind times, and currently during it being this dry, no one's watching the fires. So there is safety for this subdivision and the neighborhood. By approving this development request, our small community will be bisected to potentially include trailers, rental properties, which will directly and permanently erode our safety, security, our property values, and the pursuit of happiness in the way of life that everyone on that road has intentionally searched out. If passed, this degradation will continue as more people sell their properties to get away from this situation, which will obviously be land that can be purchased and overdeveloped in the same way. We ask that you not approve this minor subdivision. Thank you.
Ma'am. Yes, sir.
I am Larry Butler, 14868 Friendship Church Road. First, I'd like to thank you guys for having this meeting. I think it's a special meeting that we didn't have a quorum last month, and it's ahead of your August meeting, so thank you guys very much for this opportunity to speak and see government work. And thank you to the staff for all your hard work. I've talked to Nathan on the phone. I'm sad to hear he's leaving. I've lived on the Friendship Church Road for 10 years. I'm kind of a newcomer there. A lot of the folks who live on that road have been there for 20, 30 years. When I moved in 10 years ago, the neighbor across the street, Cecil, said, "Larry, I need you to help me take care of the road. I'm getting too old for this." So for the past 10 years, I've also served as the road czar for Friendship Church Road. Cecil also told me that we have a 2-inch water line from Highway 170 down about 2 miles down Friendship Church Road. And near as I can tell, nobody uses a 2-inch water line anymore. But to tap off that for however many taps they want to do on this minor subdivision, we don't know. Most of us knew the previous owner, Reggie. And when we heard that he had Alzheimer's and he was going to sell the property, we were all sad, and we were all hoping that he would get as much money as possible to help pay for his care in Mississippi. We understand that the property sold for about $400,000 on 40 acres. And right now, the property is being listed at $25,000 an acre. So it's amazing to know that our acreage out there is worth that much. But I just was hoping that Reggie would get more of that profit. Of all the clearing that they're doing right now, there are many dump trucks they're hauling in, and they've pretty much pulverized the gravel on our road, making it kind of like flour. And all the clearing they've done is, it's a beautiful wooded area, and we just hate to see it go like it is right now. And we just don't know how many lots are gonna end up on this property. And we don't know how many water taps are gonna try to tie into that 2-inch line. I would hope that they would at least do an engineering feasibility study as a part of their development of this land. Again, thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for your hard work on behalf of the county.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else want to speak on this particular project? Okay. Then I will bring it back to the board.
Question of the applicant's representative. Are you aware of any current or planned improvements to water, or is there gonna be restrictions for water taps for the proposed? If my math's right, there's currently one house and you're proposing a potential of 6 new houses. So will there be water taps? Will there be wells? What's the intention for the end user on these proposed lots?
So to my knowledge, per the landowner, there is an existing tap on track C that's not being used. And I'll just kind of throw in the minor subdivision 2, which is gonna be north of here. There's an existing tap for an existing house there. He has asked for 3 water taps. And from talking to the landowner, there does not seem to be an issue getting those 3 water taps from Washington Water Authority. As far as the track 3 and the track D in the rear, the 2 10-acre tracks, I do know if he's considering wells for those, because he can't run a service line across an adjoining property. He would actually have to run a water main back to those, which, I mean, it would just be outrageous cost to do that. So at this point, he's looking at wells on track 3 and track D, and then proposing 3 new water taps. And that's included in this minor sub and the minor sub 2.
Okay. That answers that, Lauren? All right. Anyone else? All right. To the board's pleasure.
What makes this outside of the ability, Sita, for you to approve that without coming to the board, to this board? No, I'm talking about, oh, I'm sorry, are you saying?
I'm sorry, I thought we were done with public comment. I asked that question and nobody stood up, so.
I apologize. I just rethought something. My name is Janelle Roller, 14753 Friendship Church Road. My husband Jerry and I moved out in 1987. At that time, there was no rural water. We were told by the realtor at that time and the owner of our home that there was a well that was functioning. It was not. At that time, it ran dry, the holding tank we had. The people that owned the house was having water pulled in from Winslow by a man who hauled water, whose name was Watterson. But anyway, he came in and put the water in a holding tank that they had. And so we were misled that the water issue was no problem as far as wells up there. I don't know what the owner of this land expects these people to do, but there is no water to be had per wells up there. That's why we have rural water now. And so I just thought you guys should know that. He expects people to drill wells, and it's going to cost a lot of money, and there may be water, and there probably will not be. So that's just a concern.
Okay.
And also, I just won't go through the whole business. Everybody said, we moved out there in '87 to be away from this sort of thing. And it happens. We're not against progress. I mean, if it's done responsibly and in the people who buy the property's interest, but people need to know what they're getting into from this man. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, one last time. Any more public comment? Okay, then back to the board.
I'm sorry.
My question was, what takes this outside the parameters of being able to be approved?
Administratively?
Yes, ma'am.
The fact that there's 4. Or the way it's written is that if it's 4, then it has to go through the minor subdivision process. If it's 3, then we could potentially do it administratively, but since there's 4, it has to come before the board.
Okay, I thought 4 would, I thought as long as it was 3 5s and a 1 or something like that, we could still do 4 or greater. But you do this every day, I don't. Okay, thank you.
Okay, to the board.
Mr. Chair, unlike some of the other things we've seen tonight, I do feel like this proposal is compatible. You're talking single-family development on 3 to 10 acre tracts. So based on that, I'll make a recommendation for approval of item D, Friendship Church minor subdivision.
All right, we've got a motion,
Second.
and I got a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Next item, item E, Friendship Church minor subdivision number 2. Sita.
Again. Oops, hold on. Oh, wait, it went too far. Okay. Friendship Church minor subdivision 2. Again, located in the exact same spot as the last one, within the southern half of the county. It consists of an 11.31 parcel acre. There is a residence on it. The applicant intends to subdivide the 11.31 acre tract into 3 smaller tracts. Tract 1, purple, 4 acres, tract 2, yellow, 4.32 acres, and tract A, 3 acres. Tract 2, which is the 4.32 acre tract, will keep the house. Easements. So tract 1 will have a 30-foot wide easement along its northern border to be utilized by tract 3 from the Friendship Minor subdivision number 1. And here is an image of that easement. And here's the easement that runs along the southern border of proposed tract A. That's the 40-foot wide shared easement. And here's what that shared easement looks like. Again, the proposed lots are currently undeveloped. The minor sub is on the right side of the road in this picture, and on the left side in this picture. Again, staff sent notifications to surrounding property owners within 300 feet, and only received at the time just the one phone call wondering about whether or not the road department would adopt Friendship Church Road. Any questions regarding number 2?
Any questions for Sita?
Mr. Chair, I had a question. I don't know if it's better for you or the applicant, but on track 2, it looks like there's a fence and a potential, maybe it's a dog kennel. Are those in the building setbacks?
They look like they are in the setbacks, but a dog kennel would not be considered an actual building.
Okay. And a fence wouldn't be either? Okay,
no.
thank you, ma'am.
The access road, the existing road, that's a private road or a county road that goes up and down?
Friendship Road is a private road.
Okay, at what point does that have to become a county road based on the number of residents out there?
From my understanding, in order for the county to adopt it, it has to be brought up to county specifications, and that would be something for the road department to kind
Yeah,
of
but
let us
after
know.
you put in a certain number of residents, you have to bring it up to county standards.
Yes, we have not gotten that far yet.
Yeah.
That's something that I can talk to the road department about, and we can find out if that's something that,
I didn't think the threshold was that high because I have a road that I'm trying to get up to county standards. And they told me if I had more than 9, or maybe it's 14 residents along that road, I had to bring it up to county standards before they would accept it. Now, it could still remain a private road, but I would like for the county to maintain it.
Any other questions, comments for CETA? Tim, you got anything you want to add? Anybody in the audience got anything they want to add? Yes, sir.
To your point about the road, the county used to come out and grade it twice a year for no charge, but they've stopped doing that for some reason or another. But it was very nice of them to do that. And it would be handy if the developer would help out with the current road condition in that he's using it right now. And we could use some gravel, so thanks.
All right, anybody else? All right, to the board.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the Friendship Church Minor Subdivision 2 as presented with staff recommendations.
All right, motion.
I'll second, and I would also encourage staff to get with the county road department and see if there's a way that we could get this brought up to standard, have a cost share with the developer or something to get this a county highway, or county street. But I second the motion.
Motion and second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Now on to the county, item F, Bethel Blacktop Minor Subdivision. CETA with a workout tonight.
okay, item F. The Bethel Blacktop Minor Subdivision request is located within the western portion of the county. It's outside of any planning area or floodplain. And there is an existing residence on this property. Staff also wants to point out that the aerial images shown here and this next, the site plan don't match exactly. There's a split that occurred during the time this map, or this particular image was made, to the time the survey was created, so this is outdated. There is a split that happened kind of right there to the west of the residence, so that's not included in any of this acreage that we talk about. The applicant is intending to take this parcel and subdivide it into 3 smaller pieces. We have tract A with 1.57 acres that has an existing home on it, tract B, which is 2 acres and is vacant, and tract C, which is 2.75 acres and is vacant. So this is Bethel Blacktop looking east. The proposed minor sub is on the right side of the road. And this is looking west or left. The existing residence is behind the trees on the left side of the screen. Notifications were sent to property owners within 300 feet. To date, staff has not received any comments from property owners or other interested parties expressing opposition or favor of this project. There were no technical concerns other than soil analysis is currently still pending. I think it's been done. We're just waiting for the final report. Any questions? Oh, sorry. Staff recommends approval of this project. Any questions?
Yeah, I have one. See,
Mhm.
the little slip you were talking about.
Mhm.
With that, is this plat that's on here, is that correct?
Yes, so
Okay.
this is correct.
Okay,
on this-
just want to make sure all
yes.
paperwork was correct if
The
we're voting
paperwork
on
is correct, it's
something
just
going
this,
forward.
this
Okay.
image here is off.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right,
And
sounds good.
it looks confusing, so I wanted to try to clarify.
All right, anybody got any questions?
I guess, not to be repetitive, but same question, what prevented this from being approved administratively since
Um,
it's 3?
It's 3, but we have tracts at less than 5 acres.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? You got one, Neil?
Doesn't this have to go to state for their septic approval? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pending.
No. Is this you as well?
Yes, sir. Tim West with Atlas Land Surveying. As far as the septic, it will have to go through the state subdivision review for septic because we've got 3 tracts, and if any one of those 3 tracts is under 3 acres. So I know the soils analysis has been done, but it's probably in a further transition of their state review. So not only will you guys have to approve it, but the state will have to approve the septic systems as well for all 3 tracks.
Okay. Anything else to add?
No, that's it.
All right. Anybody in the audience want to comment on this particular project? All right, to the board.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve the Bethel Blacktop Minor subdivision with staff comments.
All right, got a motion?
Second.
Got a second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Next is in the Fayetteville planning area, item G, Whispering Meadows final subdivision. I'm not going to keep repeating your name.
So item G is the Whispering Meadows subdivision final. This request is located within the eastern side of the county and is just outside of the city of Fayetteville, but is within the city's planning area. This project consists of 2 parcels, a 37.14 acre parcel and a 35.56 acre parcel. There is floodplain within the bottom halves of each of these 2 parcels. The applicant has proposed to take these 2 larger parcels and subdivide them into a total of 8 lots known as Whispering Meadows subdivision. The preliminary review of this project was approved by the planning board members in attendance at the February 25th, 2021 planning board meeting. The project has processed through the city of Fayetteville and has received their approval. Oops, make sure I got all that, okay. So this only shows a portion, so it's 2 of 3, and here's 3 of 3. This is the lots 5 to 8, so the rest of the site plan. And there it is all together. So lots 1 through 7 range from 3.01 to 3.27 acres. The rest of the acreage, approximately 50.92 acres, is all contained within lot 8. So everything brown would be considered lot 8. The lots will utilize a private drive known as Whispering Meadows Avenue, and this is what the entrance looks like during the preliminary review. And this is what it looks like at the site visit that we conducted a few weeks ago. It's still not complete. The applicant would like to wait until most of the major development has been completed before laying asphalt so as not to damage the road. And there's another view of it. Utilities, the lots do have meters and/or connections. The applicant is currently working with the city of Fayetteville to extend the water line from the road to the subdivision lots. There are 2 existing buildings as shown here. These will be demolished and cleared of debris. The applicant states that the demo should not take more than a few days from start to finish, since there's still review and more development to do. There is no hurry to demolish these buildings. That's why they still stand. So again, floodplain exists along the southern portions of lots 1 through 5 and on lot 8. Lot 1 shows a septic field within the floodplain. And per the health department, this is allowed. Staff just wanted to clarify that. The Whispering Meadows subdivision is within, again, the city of Fayetteville's planning area, AKA also known as a growth area, per section 11-55, conformance to official plans, paragraph B. Subdivisions within this area shall be developed in accordance with that city's particular standards. The applicant will need final approval from the city of Fayetteville in addition to tonight's approval. So this is just to clarify, subdivisions within the planning area have to be approved by the city using city standards. And staff has reviewed the submittal documents and recommends approval with the following conditions, and these conditions have not changed since the time of your staff report. Any questions?
Anyone? All right, applicant here, they want to say anything?
I'm Jeff Bates with Bates & Associates. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer, update. The water line is in and been pressure tested, and we're just waiting to do a final next week.
All right. Anybody got anything else for Jeff? All right. Anybody in the audience want to comment on this particular project? All right, to the board.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion for approval of Whispering Meadows final subdivision, subject to staff comments.
Got a motion?
Second.
Got a second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Goshen Planning Area, item H, replatted Village Estates subdivision.
Okay, so item H, again, the replat at Village Estates subdivision. This request is located within the northeastern portion of the county. Here's a vicinity of the area. And here's a close-up showing the parcels subject to the replat. The applicant is requesting a minor subdivision replat to combine 45 platted undeveloped subdivision lots, basically to combine them into two new 9.09 acre tracts. The subdivision lots were platted in 1973 as a part of the Village Estates subdivision. If approved, this is what the replat will look like. Parcel A in yellow, parcel B in green. The lot names will be determined by the assessor's office. Currently, there are no residential structures on any of the lots. Access is shown to come from a shared 50-foot utility and access easement that extends down from Frederickson Road, south of Broadview. There is a platted undeveloped road shown on the plat for this project, listed as Lakeview Drive, and this is Lakeview Drive. This is just to show that a majority of this is very undeveloped. Here is the southeastern entrance. Again, undeveloped, still very wooded. The intersection of easement and undeveloped Lakeview Drive. And to date, staff has not received direct correspondence from notified property owners indicating opposition or approval. Staff recommends approval of the proposed replat with the following conditions, and these conditions have not changed since the time of your staff report. Any questions?
Yeah, I got one.
Mm-hmm.
You stated this was going from 45 to 2.
Yes.
On our agenda here, this states 3 lots.
3 lots? I show 2 lots.
Does everybody else's read 3 lots like mine?
18.18 acres, 3 lots.
Yeah.
That's a question I have.
Typo?
Might be a typo. We'll clarify.
Okay. Clarification on the lot. Anyone else?
Just as a matter of curiosity, why are they doing this?
I think there's just need for more larger parcels.
They're completely marketable as individual lots, though.
They are, but I think it's a lot of development as individual lots, whereas
Yeah.
it's one house per lot otherwise.
just to so it sounds like they're doing this primarily to restrict the lot size rather than have a bunch of little ones.
I'm not sure why the applicant, I just know it's more palatable to them to have larger lots than to have a bunch of smaller lots.
I'm not disagreeing with them, I just, we generally go the other direction.
We do.
I would think it's probably the cost of the road, Neil. So, all right, any other questions?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. Is the applicant here? Do they want to speak?
Yes, my name is Alan Reed, and I'll be representing this project in front of you tonight. I think to answer Neil's question, the property has always been held in all these lots and blocks. They've got a new buyer, a family, two people in the same family, and they're not interested in having all these little lots. They want two nice tracts. Each one will have a nice single-family home on it. And I think it's probably something that will help all the county records, from the assessment to the planners to everybody. They just had one lot number instead of 46, I believe. So I think that's why they're doing it. It is, like you say, though, it's usually the other way around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And if you have any other questions, I'll be
Question
glad.
of the applicant, can you clarify the question that was asked earlier? Is it proposed 2 lots or 3 lots?
2 lots.
Okay, thank
Two
you.
lots, each one will be 9.09 acres. And also, at the same time, we're asking to have this road that runs through the middle of the property, this serpentine road here, vacated. They don't need any roads on there at all. There is an existing water line and a fire hydrant on the property right now, but other than that, they don't plan to use any of these platted roads as access except for the one coming into the property from the north. And that will be a shared 50-foot wide access and utility easement.
And that's defined on the plat, dedicated on the plat, that easement?
Yeah, that road is on the plat of Village Estates.
Okay, thank you.
Are the other easements going to be abandoned too, or what?
Yeah, we're still going to maintain some easements, and we've got some easements to work out with Springdale Water Authority. They've got a line that runs all the way through this property, but they don't really have a location on it yet. So when they do the locate, we're going to come back and dedicate an easement along that water line.
Okay.
Other than that, there are utilities surrounding this property. So all the infrastructure's in, except for the roads. And so, being as they're not gonna market these lots as separate individual lots, they just need this one way in off of this existing north-south road. And then one property will be over here and one will be over there, and they won't need the roads.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Reed? All right, thanks, sir. Anybody in the audience want to comment on this particular project? Just state your name and address, sir, please.
Good evening. My name is Marty Gallagher. I live at 17812 Bluffview Drive, which adjoins the southern portion of this project that's being presented to y'all this evening. The concern of the neighbors in the region were that it was a little bit confusing as it was presented. I feel a little bit more comfortable now knowing that there's going to be 2 single-family dwellings there. You know, I know that you had some concerns about what the heck is going on with this, you know, so we had the same. As long as this is going to be 2 single-family dwellings joined, being shared by, you know, relatives, I think that's a plus for us. We would just like to make sure that, we keep in touch with the project as it goes along.
All
Thanks
right.
for your time.
Thanks, appreciate it. Anyone else? If you'll state your name and address, please, sir.
Richard Hutton. I live on 1773 Broadview Drive. My concern is, he said he was going to vacate a road. I'd like to know which road he's talking about there, for one thing. Whether it would be Frederick Road, which is a gravel road that goes back to the property he's talking about. It comes off of Broadview. Or the other road that goes all the way through the property that comes off of West Side Drive. I'd like to have that clarified. Also, I have a concern about the water lines. The water lines that's in there was put in there in the 70s, and they was never used. I don't know that the water lines we have there now is adequate enough to service this area. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Does anybody want to, City, can we clarify that road that he's, Mr. Reed, can you clarify that road for him, please, sir? I know, but just so that he
For your concern about the road, I believe Frederick is the road that we'll be coming in on. That will not be vacated. Because that's a good road. Frederick Road is an asphalt road, curb and gutter, then it goes into the property, it turns into dirt. They're gonna use that as access. It's this long road that runs kind of parallel with the lot lines through there. It's never been developed. If you go back there, it's just really not even a road. It might be a trail. That's what they want to vacate. The other question was the water. I mean, I've never seen the water run. I know there's a fire hydrant, and I don't know, maybe Phil knows more about it than me, but if there's a fire hydrant, it's usually a pretty good sized line.
It shows to be a 6-inch.
Yeah, it's a standard city line through there.
Well, they'd have to come check that regular, wouldn't they?
So,
I'm just saying, but, not saying they did, but, yeah, that's what I was thinking.
but yeah, to answer his question, we're only vacating that portion that's really in the middle of a jungle. It's just a little trail that runs through there.
All right.
Okay.
Feeds that area to
Yeah.
the south.
Was there anything else that?
No, that's it, Mr. Reed. Thank you for clarifying that. All right. Yes, ma'am.
Sherry Riles, 17828 Bluffview Drive. With the rezoning of the two lots, what's to say that they don't put apartment complexes on it? Is there, other than the intention, what is the zoning?
Zoning is single-family residential uses of 1 unit per acre or agricultural uses. If they wanted to put, for your example,
Multifamily.
yeah, a multifamily like a duplex, we'll use a duplex because it's nice and simple. They would have to come through here and be approved by the planning board and also be approved by the quorum court because we're having to change the zoning to
Okay,
approve a multifamily.
So is it 1 to 4 with this rezone, so they could put a fourplex on it?
No, it's one,
No, they're asking for 2 lots for
Yeah.
2 single-family homes.
That's what I'm
Yeah, so if
asking
they
for
decide to
clar-
do anything other than that, as Steve
Either
is stating,
it-
they would have to
nothing
come
other than a
back
single
here.
family.
Yes.
They would have to come back here, yes.
Okay.
Okay?
Great, thank you.
All right, thanks. Anyone else? All right, to the board.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion for approval of item H, replat of Village Estate subdivision as stated, 2 lots, clarification.
All right, I've got a motion with clarification.
Second.
Got a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Down to county again. Item I, JSF Investments Minor Subdivision.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Y'all enjoy your evening. Well, I can tell you before we start, it's only 1 or 2 people that could have a problem with this.
Last agenda item, item I, is the JSF Investments minor subdivision request. This is located within the western portion of the county. The parcel is located just outside of the city growth/planning area and is within the sole jurisdiction of the county. The parcel is approximately 5 acres in size and is bordered by Ditmars Road along its southern and western side. The applicant is requesting to subdivide this 5-acre tract into 4 smaller tracts. Tract 1 and Tract 2 will be about 1.02 acres. Tract 3, 1.01, and Tract 4, which is on the northern part, is 1.25. Each lot will have its own direct access / driveway that connects to Ditmars Road. Each tract was tested for septic compatibility and found suitable. Proposed Tract 3 has an existing residence on it. This will be removed. This is looking right or north along Ditmars Road. And this is looking, I might have got my rights and left mixed up, I apologize. Tract 3 residence. Okay, so this is looking left or south, I apologize. And then this is looking right or north. This is where proposed Tract 1 will be. This is proposed Tract 2. And proposed Tract 4. Notifications were sent to property owners within 300 feet of this parcel. To date, staff has not received any comments expressing opposition or support of the project. Staff would like to recommend approval of the project with the following conditions, and these conditions have not changed since the time of your staff report. Any questions?
Does the applicant want to say anything?
I don't know that I. Right, yeah, I guess. The only thing that I would add, my name is Josh Fry. My address is 19529 Ray's Community Road, Lincoln, Arkansas. There will be a dedicated utility easement down the center of this property. I don't know if you have a copy of the preliminary plat available, but it's a 30-foot easement. Prairie Grove Water Department has given me verbal commitment that they will approve water taps pending approval from the State Engineering Department. I've already obtained approval from Washington County Health Unit and passed that on to the State Engineering Department. Those would be the only comments that I have.
All right. Well, I'm going to take it there's nobody in the audience that would like to comment, so
I wasn't sure.
I'll bring it to the board.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we approve the JSF Investment Minor Subdivision as presented with staff recommendations.
Got a motion?
Second.
Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Item 6, other business, discussion of current development and planning department activities. Would you like to discuss that, or do we want to give Mr. Crouch an opportunity to speak
Can we
and
do
limit him
that?
to 3 minutes?
Can we?
So,
Mr.
is there anything to that? Sita, do we have anything to add there?
We don't have anything to add.
Other than the reminder of the meetings, we've got another one in 2 weeks, and then we'll have our September 30th.
That's correct.
Nathan, if you'd like to speak, you're more than welcome.
3 minutes.
You know, again, wish you
didn't
the
have
best
anything
luck in
prepared.
your new adventure.
But I definitely wanted to say something. So I've been here about 7 years. This is the best damn job I've ever had. I love this job. I'm gonna miss every one of y'all. That's it. Thank you for everything you've done to support us.
You bet. Yeah, gotcha.
They deserve it.
Yeah.
Every bit of it.
All
Thank
right.
you, guys.
Good luck. Appreciate it. Anybody got anything else? All right, then I'll adjourn the meeting. Enjoy your evening.
Who's buying me a beer?